Hey guys, Ramsey here. Welcome to another video. Today we have a late night insight video on a house that I've never discussed on the channel, purposely actually. But today we're going to talk about our very first BDK fragrance, which is not a house that I'm very happy to discuss on the channel, and yet here I am. And this is called Vanille Leather. So I've been playing with this for the last couple months. But first, scent of the day and a very quick unboxing. So today, for the first time, I actually wore this. And if you watched my quick unboxing from the Duck Den, this was part of one of the things he sent. It was a pressurized atomizer from back in the day. This fragrance came out in 1969, Monsieur Rochas. This is the vintage eau de cologne. And so when they pressurize the atomizer, sometimes they won't spray anymore. So I had to do some surgery, rip the atomizer out, decant it into that little bad boy right there, and I wore it as my scent of the day. And I can tell you that this Guy Robert creation is infinitely more interesting than what we are going to talk about today. Monsieur Rochas is sort of in the, if you go back to some of those old Monsieur fragrance days, you think about things like, well, there were a handful of them, Monsieur Givenchy, or all those old Monsieur fragrances. This kind of falls into that, but it's a little bit like Equipage. If you've ever smelled Equipage by Hermes, this came out 1 year before. Same perfumer, but it has a little bit of that powdery sort of fougere, very classy, lots of citruses and, carnation and stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed it. Very herbal, aromatic, very vintage in style, but I enjoyed wearing this today. Monsieur Rochas is my scent of the day. So you'll be hearing about that one of these days. So really quick, let me just do a very quick unboxing. I have no clue what this is, by the way. And then once that is out of the way, we will get into this brand that I really don't care too much for, BDK. So let's just see what we have here. I do these unboxings so you guys kind of know what I have and what is in the pipeline. So this is, oh nice, it's another Grayi fragrance. He sent me a bunch of stuff and I just have not gotten around to any of it yet, but this one, and I actually like his packaging. I show all the unboxings, so maybe that's why he keeps sending them, because I have yet to even talk about one of his fragrances. Or actually, that's not true. I did a review of one of his fragrances. You can check it out. So the house is called Grayi. They come with these Pokemon-like cards. So this one's called Black Cat. Catnip, bergamot, black licorice, dark fruits, shilajit, ebenol, labdanum, Vietnamese oud, and civitone. I mean, it sounds like it's kind of right up my alley. So I need to start putting these on the priority list. I'm very interested in checking that one out. And it comes with this, which is maybe like a black cap. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Yeah, it is. It's a black cap. A black cap for Black Cat. I assume that's what it's for. Okay. Yes, it is. So there you have it. Cool stuff. Very nice. Nice little presentation too. So yes, I will put this on the to discuss on the channel list. So thank you for sending this my way, my friend. Okay. So let's see how this goes. Okay, there you go. That's how it goes. Okay. So let's talk about Vanille Leather by BDK. Came out in 2023. And as I said, BDK is one of those niche, those modern niche brands that seem to just like explode, pop up like weeds over the last, 5 to 7 years. They're one of those brands where everything is rare and unique and divine and, all this stuff. And of course, everything is over $200. Well, that's not true. Not everything. But these niche brands, most of their offerings are going to be north of $200. And then when you smell them, it certainly seems like most of them don't stack up. That's kind of my experience. That's one of the reasons why I have been avoiding talking about these brands. So, but this one's called Vanille Leather, and I'm going to do a fresh spray. I've got a couple hour dry down here. I've worn it to bed 3 times before, so I do have some experience with this. And my God, the opening is fucking sweet. It is just so sweet. So like I said, the brand has not been a priority for me. In fact, I've kind of been trying to avoid it. But whenever I heard Dominique Ropion was the perfumer, I said, fine, I will succumb and give this a shot. And as I said, this is the third time that I've had a chance to wear this, but I do not own a full bottle, so this is a, you know, early impression video. Okay, so the first thing you're going to notice is, again, the sweetness. And lots of modern aroma chemicals. Okay, so these type of fragrances are not difficult to break down because a lot of times they don't go through big transitions or anything like that. So as a leather lover, when I saw Vanille Leather, I thought, okay, here's my chance to maybe find a BDK fragrance that I really like and I really enjoy. And so I've been kind of playing with this. And I will tell you, the very first second that this fragrance hit my skin, the first time, this is the third time I've worn it, so I kind of know what to expect. But the very first time I went, bah humbug. And maybe I should have kind of waited until Christmas came around to kind of do this review, because you just are hit with this modern sweetness, this like aroma chemical sweet bomb, you know, and everything nowadays, it just seems like everything nowadays is like engineered to just capture the most amount of people. And they do that by making sure that the opening is the absolute most likable to the most amount of people in a, you know, blind study or something like that, case study. And so, you know, you're going to smell this modern aroma chemical bomb with, to me, what smells like some sort of a suede note. The leather note here is not well done, in my opinion. And it's not the kind of leather that I would prefer. Just give me Bellamy, give me Antaeus any day of the week. This sort of, you know, leather, quote unquote, leather fragrance, this modern leather is not my cup of tea. It's not my style. And then on top of that, it almost smells in the opening. Not only do you get this, you know, very sort of weak leather note that feels suede like, it feels very on the back burner, okay? But what comes forward is this vanillic sweetness, and they're going to say, oh, it's this rare vanilla pod from Madagascar or wherever. But the sweetness almost feels like they took the vanilla and they said, okay, let's just dump some sugar on top, and then we'll just take a blowtorch and just merge all the molecules together. Part of me wonders, like, if some of these big name perfumers like Ropion, when they get these briefs, they just kind of roll their eyes and they go, ugh, you know, maybe are they even pissed off at the morass, and just the seasoned perfumers are just like, we don't want to create stuff like this anymore, but they're forced to. I don't know. That just, I would think from what I know about Dominique Ropion that he would almost roll his eyes at a brief like this, but maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. So I will say one thing that, since we're talking shit about the fragrance, let's give some good, because there is a surprise to the fragrance. So the surprise is that the fragrance isn't just what the name says on the tin. It's not just vanilla and leather, okay? In fact, I would go so far as to say that the character of the fragrance is built around something that isn't listed on the tin, and that is this very surprisingly enjoyable bouquet, okay? This floral bouquet of flowers tends to kind of come forward, and if you know Ropion's back catalog, you know that he is one of the kings of using floral accords. He created Carnal Flower, which in my opinion is a reference tuberose creation. Even though I much prefer things like Fracas, if I was going to, you know, really list a tuberose fragrance that I think does the flower justice in a way that I like it, Fracas is more my cup of tea than Carnal Flower, let's say. But I still respect and appreciate Carnal Flower for what it is. And so, you know, what he basically has done here is he has created another fragrance with a tuberose note that at least will make you sit up and pay attention. Even if you don't like tuberose, Dominique Ropion is one of those perfumers that will make you sit up and take notes. You know, he's kind of like one of those people that you attend class, you sit in the front row, you listen to what he has to say. And, you know, to be quite frank, most of this fragrance, most of this whole vanille leather fragrance doesn't interest me. I'm not interested in the disgustingly sweet opening. I'm not interested in the boring, meek, weak leather. But I am interested in the way that he created this floral bouquet. The floral bouquet, even though I'm not necessarily a huge white floral fan, is the part of this fragrance that seems to jump out to me. You know, it seems to interest me a little bit, to capture my attention a little bit. Some of the things that they say don't interest me. Like they say, we're using a precious vanilla pod from, that shit doesn't interest me. You know, and he created some sort of blend of oak wood and patchouli to intensify the smell. Well, here, let me read you the little blurb from the BDK website. My goal, this is from Dominique Ropion, my goal was to blend a precious vanilla pod with a bouquet of white flowers, gradually unveiling its warm and sensual character. The fragrance is very warm, very smooth. Those are all true. Thus, the vanilla note is enhanced by the sulfurous and slightly honeyed notes of tuberose. Yes, I will agree with that. The powerful sweetness of jasmine, I will definitely agree with powerful sweetness, and the round carnal notes of orange blossom. Speaking of carnal flower, he mentions carnal. To further intensify the fragrance trail, I incorporated oak wood and patchouli notes. So to further intensify the trail, oak wood and patchouli. Okay, fine. So that's kind of the write-up. Exalted vanilla leather is what the brand says. By the way, 100 mils is 215 euros. I think that's euros. 215 euros. So, yeah, I will say, you know, for me, that big surprise was that bouquet, that floral bouquet. I was not expecting that at all. I wasn't expecting it, and actually I wasn't expecting to like it, and I did. Actually, if you could just kind of take that part, I like what Dominique Ropion did there. I mean, he's a master perfumer. He's one of the all-time greats. He's a Hall of Fame perfumer, in my opinion. But I don't care for that ultra sweet vanillic opening. I don't care for the way that the leather note was sidelined, you know, pushed to the back burner. And it's almost like there was this avoidance of this leather note. You know, it's kind of like how modern day politicians treat their people, treat the base. If the will of the people isn't what the elites want, the politicians just like, huh, they just ignore it. They just do on what they're going to do. There was this leather note in the base, but actually when I smell the fragrance after that nightmarishly sweet opening, it almost seems like it's more teasing out the leathery aspects of the tuberose than an actual proper leather note, if that makes sense. Tuberose can have leathery aspects to it. So it's more like that than it is a standalone leather note. That was a surprise to me. The part that really took me by surprise, like I said, was how much I enjoyed that tuberose note, the honeyed aspects. You know, they mentioned the sweetness of the jasmine, very like rolling hills of jasmine feeling, and then orange blossom, which is not what I expected when I read the name and started to dig into the fragrance a little bit. I will just say, going off topic, but for those of you who want a leather tuberose combination that I can recommend, check out Des Cendres. They're totally different fragrances, but you know, if you're buying this because it has a tuberose note and a leather note, and those are something that really interest you, this is a fragrance I could recommend. Des Cendres is a fragrance that I think is very well done in the tuberose leather combination, if you will. So much more style and class and sophistication, and I love the smoky elements. I love the green, you know, galbanum and all the other stuff you get. So like I said, it's a totally different fragrance, but if that's your thing, tuberose and leather, Des Cendres is a must sniff. So that would be much more my style than this. So here's where I disagree with many perfumers or many reviewers that I watched a couple videos. I don't always do that, but I was just curious to see what the hell these people are saying about this. And surprise, surprise, a lot of them kind of just turn on the camera and go, guess what? This is a sexy, sweet vanilla and leather scent. And I don't get that, is the weird thing. I get a ton of florals in this, even from the very beginning, even when I just did that fresh spray. The one thing that seems to cut through that just haze of sweetness, it isn't the leather. I'll tell you that, because like I said, the leather is weak. The leather is on IR. It's off to the side. What cuts through it is that floral sort of, you know, bouquet that Dominique Ropion created. And in fact, if you watch my previous videos or if you know my taste, you know that iris and leather is one of my favorite combinations in all of perfumery. I love iris leather fragrances, things like Great Britain by Roja, Queer Canage, stuff like that by Dior. Iris and leather is just a home run for me, right? So this technically has iris and leather, but here the iris and this powdery, almost like Parma violet note seem to kind of seep through, and you get these undertones that come across as almost smelling like you're smelling this candied texture. The fragrance is sweet, and obviously that sweetness works with this candied texture from this Parma violet like smell. So imagine mixing it in with something like icing on a cake, or fondant comes to mind, something like that. But think of the texture of fondant and imagine like putting something like that, like a fondant rose or something, on top of this floral bouquet. Someone would decorate, just like someone would decorate a cake, but they're decorating the florals. That's how it begins to smell to me. The tuberose gives you slight hints of camphoraceous elements, which you get full blast in Carnal Flower with the eucalyptus and all this other stuff in Carnal Flower. Here, you still get some of that because tuberose gives you that, but it also gives you more of the honeyed aspects, as they mentioned in the write up. And it also gives you these slightly green sort of touches here and there that kind of come and go, almost like you're smelling the stems and the leaves blended all together with the flower. But you get hints of this bubblegum, sort of imagine like chewing bubble gum from back in the day, that double bubble where you could just grab it and pull it and then it would like string out that stringy bubble gum. That's how the tuberose comes across here. And it just seems to blend with the sugary vanilla or fondant or whatever you want to call it. And it just makes the fragrance smell like a confectionery item to me. I cannot get away from it. It is just so sweet and modern, and that's what they were going for. So the florals come across as very heady to me. I will say that. And as I said, much more prominent than you would expect from the way that this was marketed. By the way, for those of you who don't know, when a flower is described as heady, I mean, it literally means that it can give you like a dizzying sensation, And I think a lot of the sweetness is what gives me the dizzying sensation. I don't like sweet fragrances. This is the epitome of the modern fragrance this is like a great example of the modern fragrance that I just don't like. I do not like this type of creation. And again, the shocking part for me is how even with that just foghorn of sweetness, the floral bouquet still kind of cuts through. It's like a lighthouse in the storm. The orange blossom does add a little bit of freshness, which is very nice, to the whole shebang. It adds a little bit of freshness to an otherwise extremely just weigh you down sweetness. But that floral bouquet is really the surprise. Now, this was a hype beast. This was a huge hype beast. I mean, people were going crazy for this at the end of 2023, early 2024. And, I'm sure a young woman would absolutely love this on a younger man, or an older man that's trying to maybe attract a younger woman. And if you're the type of person who wears your fragrances specifically to attract the opposite sex, I would say go for it. I mean, this is probably a compliment monster. If on the other hand you wear your fragrances because you want to spray wearable art on your skin, even though this is a Dominique Ropion, this is a hard pass for me. I would say the white floral mashup they have going on here, I may even say this may be better suited for a woman. I think it would maybe smell better on a woman's skin than mine, but I do think it's totally unisex. Anyone can wear this. This is not gendered at all to my nose. My final issue, and I will stop bitching, I don't feel like the leather is anywhere near amped up enough to be in the name. And then even if they did amp up the leather here, it would still be boring. It would be boring and flat and soulless and just heartless. It just has this. There's nothing about this leather that grabs you and says leather. Leather is supposed to be like, you think of a horse saddle, you think of a leather jacket, you think of the things that come to mind when you think of like leather boots or something like that, leather gloves. It's supposed to be strong and powerful and grab your attention. And the leather here is meek and weak and timid and soft. And, when I first started talking about the fragrance in the beginning, I mentioned how modern this fragrance feels. It just feels like everything was crafted to appeal to a certain group. Someone buying the fragrance for compliments, someone trying to grab the modern consumer the second it hits their skin, Like this has just been geoengineered in that way. And then this extremely meek, soft, boring, suede like dry down with the leather. And there are some suede leathers that I enjoy, but they market this as leather, not suede. And it's funny because this is exactly how I expected my very first BDK Parfums review to be on Channel Ram, and here we are. So it's a shame because I really think that Ropion gave us something interesting with that floral bouquet, an interesting interpretation of a white floral bouquet, and it's just lost in this. They badly marketed this, I think. Now, they're probably laughing all the way to the bank. So they're like, huh, badly marketed. Yeah, right. You don't know what you're talking about. But for the hardcore frag heads, okay, I don't think this is the type of perfumery that a hardcore frag head would get excited over, personally. You know, this is the type of modern perfumery that is appealing to the other side of the aisle. We're over here wanting sprayable art in a bottle, which, again, this is much more sprayable art in a bottle. And again, I'm just referencing this because it has the leather and the tuberose combination, and so this, you know, vanille leather feels like a sweet ploy to capture you in the beginning, and then you get it home and realize that it just has no soul. It has no character to it. And that's one of the reasons I love vintage fragrances, is the character that they had. You know, this stands for something. This means something. So, anyways, that's my rant. That's how I feel about vanille leather. If you have experience with it, do let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Sometimes I feel like I'm just banging my head against the wall doing these modern reviews, and yet here I am. I still do them. But anyways, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for the support, everyone. I love you guys. Take care. Cheers. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.